Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses 76th session of United Nations General Assembly in New York, stresses on the need to ensure that Afghanistan soil is not used to spread terrorism. Prime Minister expresses concern over danger of regressive thinking and rising extremism in the world. Vaccine manufacturers across the world should make vaccines in India, says Prime Minister. New Delhi slams Islamabad for misusing UN platforms to spread false and malicious propaganda against India. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh calls for proactive synergy among armed forces to safeguard the nation's interests. India's vaccination coverage crosses 85 crore mark. National COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 97.78%. Government reviews preparedness for cyclonic storm developing in the Bay of Bengal, likely to cross Andhra Pradesh and Odisha coasts by tomorrow evening. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launches high-power transmitters at world's highest radio station in Kargil. Nation pays homage to Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay on his birth anniversary. And in IPL cricket, Delhi Capitals beat Rajasthan Royals by 33 runs at Abu Dhabi. Sunrisers Hyderabad take on Punjab Kings at Sharjah. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is underway, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 01123978046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said it is absolutely essential to ensure that Afghanistan's soil is not used to spread terrorism and for terrorist activities. The Prime Minister was addressing the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York this evening.
ये सुनिश्चित किया जाना बहुत जरूरी है कि अफगानिस्तान की धरती का इस्तेमाल आतंकवाद फैलाने और आतंकी हमलों के लिए न हो। हमें इस बात के लिए भी सतर्क रहना होगा कि वहां की नाजुक स्थितियों का कोई देश अपने स्वार्थ के लिए एक टूल की तरह इस्तेमाल करने की कोशिश न करें। इस समय अफगानिस्तान की जनता को, वहां की महिलाओं और बच्चों को, वहां की माइनॉरिटीज को मदद की जरूरत है और इसमें हमें अपना दायित्व निभाना ही होगा।
The Prime Minister expressed concern over danger of regressive thinking and rising extremism in the world. He said in such a situation, the entire world must make science-based, rational and progressive thinking the basis for development. In order to strengthen a science-based approach, India is promoting experience-based learning.
Principle in mind that India today is moving forward on the path of integrated, equitable development. Our priority is that development should be all-inclusive, all-pervasive, universal, and one that nurtures all.
Regarding the devastating pandemic, the Prime Minister said in the last 1.5 years, the entire world has been facing the worst crisis in 100 years. He paid tribute to all those who lost their lives in this deadly pandemic and expressed his condolences to their families.
For the last 1.5 years, the world has been grappling with the worst pandemic it has seen in 100 years. I pay tribute to all those who have lost their lives in the deadly corona pandemic, and I express my condolences to their families.
Mr. Modi called for COVID-19 vaccine makers to come and make their vaccines in India. The Prime Minister said India is the first to develop the world's first DNA vaccine.
मैं UNGA को ये जानकारी देना चाहता हूँ कि भारत ने दुनिया की पहली DNA वैक्सीन विकसित कर ली है, जिसे 12 साल की आयु से ज्यादा के सभी लोगों को लगाया जा सकता है। एक और mRNA वैक्सीन अपने डेवलपमेंट के आखिरी चरण में है। भारत के वैज्ञानिक कोरोना की एक नेजल वैक्सीन के निर्माण में भी जुटे हैं। मानवता के प्रति अपने दायित्व को समझते हुए भारत ने एक बार फिर दुनिया के जरूरतमंदों को वैक्सीन देनी शुरू कर दी है।
At least 109 heads of state and government will address the UN General Assembly in person at the event in New York, while 60 more will address the debate through pre-recorded video statements. BJP President JP Nadda has said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech at the 76th Assembly of UNGA is a statement of a true statesman. Mr. Nadda said his speech has made the 1.3 billion people of the country proud. He said India has led the world in several aspects in the last few years, and it has shown the world a mirror on terrorism. Mr. Nadda said Mr. Modi also specified that the land of Afghanistan should not be used for breeding terrorism. Meanwhile, New Delhi has slammed Islamabad for misusing platforms provided by the United Nations to propagate false and malicious propaganda against India in its right to reply in response to the reference made by Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan. India's first secretary at the United Nations, Sneha Dubey, said Islamabad has an established history of aiding and abetting the terrorists.
We exercise our right of reply to one more attempt by the leader of Pakistan to tarnish the image of this august forum by bringing in matters internal to my country and going so far as to spew falsehoods on the world stage. While such statements deserve our collective contempt and sympathy for the mindset of the person who utters falsehood repeatedly, I am taking the floor to set the record straight. Regrettably, this is not the first time the leader of Pakistan has misused platforms provided by the UN to propagate false and malicious propaganda against my country, and seeking in vain to divert the world's attention from the sad state of his country, where terrorists enjoy free pass while the lives of ordinary people, especially those belonging to the minority communities, are turned upside down.
The Indian representative at the United Nations stated that Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh were, are and always will be an integral and inalienable part of India, and Pakistan must vacate all areas under its illegal occupation.
The first ever in-person summit of the leaders of the Quad group of countries was held in Washington yesterday. The meeting saw the participation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, US President Joe Biden, Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison and Japanese Premier Yoshihide Suga. Prime Minister Modi has described the Quad as a force for global good. In a joint statement issued after the summit, the Quad leaders called for a free and open Indo-Pacific which is also inclusive and resilient. They said the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea must be adhered to in the South China Sea. On Quad Vaccination Initiative, the four nations pledged to donate over 1.2 million doses of COVID vaccine. They welcomed India's decision to resume exports of COVID-19 vaccines from October this year. Talking tough on terrorism, Quad leaders said Afghan soil must not be used to threaten or attack any country or to shelter or train or fund the terrorists. The first ever in-person meeting between US President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Narendra Modi was also held in Washington yesterday. It was followed by delegation-level talks between the two sides. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla and Indian Ambassador to USA Taranjit Singh Sandhu participated from the Indian side. US President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for charting a new course to advance the partnership. They resolved to advance the US-India Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. President Biden welcomed the announcement by India that it will resume export of COVID-19 vaccine.
The News Services Division of All India Radio will broadcast a special program tonight, Prime Minister's Visit to USA, a new chapter in India, US and India Quad ties. This special program can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. This will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has called for proactive synergy among the armed forces in future military strategies and responses to safeguard the interests of the nation. He was addressing the graduates of the 59th National Defence College during their convocation ceremony in New Delhi today. Mr. Singh said the bold approach of the government on issues like border disputes and cross-border terrorism has made India stronger in the recent past, and it has now assumed a greater global role and responsibility.
In the last decade, India has grown stronger in every way and has assumed a greater global role and responsibility. While it is totally committed to peace and goodwill amongst all nations, it has shown its steely resolve that threats to its internal and external security will no longer be tolerated. Our actions in Balakot and Galwan are clear signals to the aggressors that by attempt to threaten our sovereignty will be given a swift and befitting response.
Sharing his views on the situation in Afghanistan, Mr. Singh said the developments have highlighted the reality of our times. The minister emphasized on the need to draw lessons from the situation in Afghanistan far beyond the immediate reverberations being felt in the region and beyond.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses 76th session of United Nations General Assembly in New York, stresses on the need to ensure that Afghanistan soil is not used to spread terrorism. Prime Minister expresses concern over danger of regressive thinking and rising extremism in the world. Vaccine manufacturers across the world should make vaccines in India, says Prime Minister. New Delhi slams Islamabad for misusing UN platforms to spread false and malicious propaganda against India. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh calls for proactive synergy among armed forces to safeguard the nation's interests. India's vaccination coverage crosses 85 crore mark. National COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 97.78%. Government reviews preparedness for cyclonic storm developing in the Bay of Bengal, likely to cross Andhra Pradesh and Odisha coasts by tomorrow evening. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launches high-power transmitters at world's highest radio station in Kargil. Nation pays homage to Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay on his birth anniversary. And in IPL cricket, Delhi Capitals beat Rajasthan Royals by 33 runs at Abu Dhabi. Sunrisers Hyderabad take on Punjab Kings at Sharjah. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alert.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the evening news. In a landmark achievement, India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage crossed the 85 crore mark today. The Health Ministry said more than 85 crore, 54,78,000 doses have been administered till now. It said over 62,42,000 vaccine doses were administered today. Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia has said the world's largest vaccination drive is creating new benchmarks. The ministry said over 28,000 COVID patients recovered during the last 24 hours, and the national recovery rate has reached 97.78%, which is the highest since March 2020. The country reported 29,616 new cases in the last 24 hours.
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called for addressing the shortage of trained human resources in the health sector on a war footing. He stressed the need for creating more medical colleges in line with the government's intention of setting up one medical college and hospital in every district of the country. Speaking at the convocation of the University College of Medical Sciences in New Delhi, Mr. Naidu noted the improvement in different health indicators since independence. The Vice President also called for setting up more state-of-the-art hospitals in rural areas with proactive participation from the private sector.
With increasing internet and smartphone penetration in our rural areas, e-health is the way forward for the optimum use of our human resources in healthcare. The idea of digitized health records will save the hassle of paperwork for people and bring about a smooth and seamless experience during hospital visits.
Union Minister Piyush Goyal has said that Himachal Pradesh has made remarkable progress in all spheres of development. The Union Minister, who is on a 3-day visit to the state, was addressing the state-level function of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana in Shimla today. We have a report.
Union Minister Piyush Goyal, while interacting with the various beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, said that all the schemes, be it central or state, are aimed at the upliftment, welfare and development of every section of the society. He said the state has not only leading in various sectors but also shown a way for other states of the country. He appreciated the steps taken by the state government to make Himachal Pradesh as an investor's paradise. Chief Minister Jairam Thakur thanked the Prime Minister for starting this welfare scheme, which has proved a boon to the people of the state during the hard times of COVID pandemic, as no one faced the problems of food shortage in the state. Sanjeev Sundariyal, AIR News, Shimla.
The National Crisis Management Committee, under the chairmanship of Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba, reviewed today the preparedness of central ministries, agencies and state governments to deal with the situation arising out of a cyclonic storm developing in the Bay of Bengal. Director General of the India Meteorological Department briefed the committee about the current status of the deep depression in the Bay of Bengal, which is likely to develop into a cyclonic storm by this evening. It is expected to cross the North Andhra Pradesh and South Odisha coasts by tomorrow evening, with wind speeds ranging from 75 to 85 kilometers per hour, gusting to 95 kilometers per hour, accompanied by heavy rainfall in the coastal districts of the states. Necessary arrangements have been made to ensure that COVID protocols are followed. The National Disaster Response Force has deployed 18 teams in these states, and additional teams are also kept in readiness. Rescue and relief teams of the Army and Navy, along with ships and aircraft, have also been deployed. Reviewing the preparedness measures of the state central agencies, Mr. Gauba stressed that all preventive and precautionary measures should be taken by the concerned authorities of the state governments and concerned agencies of the centre before the cyclonic storm makes landfall, as the aim should be to keep loss of lives to near zero and minimise damage to property and infrastructure. Union Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur inaugurated high-power transmitters at one of the highest radio stations in the world in Ladakh today. The minister inaugurated two 10-kilowatt high-power transmitters of All India Radio FM station and Doordarshan at an altitude of 13,300 feet from mean sea level at Humbatingla in Batalik region of Kargil. Speaking on the occasion, the minister said opening the services of two transmitters of AIR and DD together is a milestone moment for the public broadcaster in the region. The minister also complimented the services of All India Radio in taking the government schemes and programs to the remotest places of Ladakh region. All India Radio Principal Director General N. Venudhar Reddy and Doordarshan Director General Mayank Agarwal also participated in the inaugural program.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio tomorrow at 11 a.m. It will be the 81st episode of the monthly radio program. It will be broadcast on the entire network of All India Radio and Doordarshan and also on AIR News website. The nation paid homage to the BJP ideologue and co-founder of Jan Sangh, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, on his birth anniversary today. Paying tribute to the veteran leader on the occasion, the Prime Minister said Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay was the pioneer of Ekatma Manavvad, who dedicated his life to nation building. Home Minister Amit Shah and Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur also paid tribute to Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay.
As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. India's glorious fight for freedom is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. Every day, AIR News brings you a glimpse of the valiant struggle.
In today's episode, we will bring you the story of the great freedom fighter, Prafulla Chandra Sen, who spent over 10 years in various jails between 1930 to 1942 for anti-British activities.
Today, the 25th of September, marks the death anniversary of a man who was a die-hard nationalist. Prafulla Chandra Sen always remained committed to Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of grassroots democracy and a self-reliant rural economy. He also served as the Chief Minister of West Bengal from 1962 to 1967.
Sen was born in village Senhati in Khulna district of Bengal on 10th April 1897. After graduating, he wanted to move to England for higher studies. But his ambitions changed after hearing Mahatma Gandhi's speech in 1920. Influenced by Gandhi's speech, Sen abandoned his plans of studying abroad and joined Mahatma's call for mass non-cooperation movement.
In 1923, Sen moved to Arambagh in the Hooghly district, which became his laboratory for Gandhian experiments on Swadeshi and Satyagraha. Arambagh was an underdeveloped and malaria-infested area of Bengal where Sen worked hard for its betterment. For his efforts, Sen was affectionately called the Gandhi of Arambagh. He was elected to the Bengal Assembly from Arambagh in 1944 and was deputy leader of the opposition.
In 1948, he was inducted by then Chief Minister Dr. Vidhan Chandra Roy into the West Bengal Cabinet as Minister of Agriculture. After Roy's death in 1962, Sen became West Bengal's third Chief Minister. To his last, he remained a bachelor with an undemanding, selfless and died in Kolkata on 25th September 1990, but his conviction towards the society is a lesson for all of us. India is forever indebted to the selfless service and sacrifice of freedom fighters like Prafulla Chandra Sen.
Today, we are also celebrating the birth anniversary of freedom fighter and former Deputy Prime Minister of India, Chaudhry Devilal. He also served as the Chief Minister of Haryana. He was born on this day in 1914 in Tejakhera village of Sirsa district in Haryana to Shugna Devi and Lekram Sehag. A follower of Mahatma Gandhi, he was merely 15 years old when he was drawn towards the independence movement. As a 16-year-old, he participated in a demonstration by Lala Lajpat Rai in 1928.
His participation in the Satyagraha movement in the 1930s and the Quit India campaign during World War II led to his imprisonment on several occasions and put an end to his formal schooling. A true Gandhian, Devilal worked vigorously throughout his life to advance the cause of farmers and other rural people, as well as so-called low castes.
Popularly known as Tau, Devilal knew the pulse of the masses and continued his activism on behalf of farmers after the independence of our nation.
As Chief Minister of Haryana, Devilal made several decisions benefiting farmers and rural people. He died on 6th April 2001 at the age of 85. Devilal remained committed to the cause of farmers till the end of his life. We salute the spirit and love for the nation of this great freedom fighter.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar, AIR News Ke Sang. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
To commemorate the occasion of the Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in Morning News and will continue till the 15th of August 2022. India Post has joined hands as the logistics partner with All India Radio News for the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 8826546262 or through email on Amrit Mahotsav quiz at prasarbharati.gov.in. One lucky participant will be selected as a winner and will be awarded an e-certificate and a token prize.
आजादी के आंदोलन के खजाने में ऐसे ढेरों शब्द जिन्होंने बदल दिए इतिहास, तारीख बदलने वाले लफ्जों पर आकाशवाणी समाचार ला रहा है विशेष कार्यक्रम धरोहर हर सोमवार।
The Indian Air Force IAF will conduct an air show at Dal Lake in Srinagar tomorrow as part of the ongoing celebration commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The event, being organised in collaboration with the Jammu and Kashmir government, will be flagged off by Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha at Sher-e-Kashmir International Convention Centre tomorrow morning. Besides, the Symphony Orchestra of the IAF will be adding glitter to the air show event. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
More than 3,000 college and school-going students and about 700 teachers are expected to participate in the program to witness the impressive air show by Indian Air Force in Srinagar. The event will motivate the students to dream about making their career in Indian Air Force and in the aviation sector. During the demonstration, students will be familiarized with the new technological advancements achieved by Indian Air Force while flying the aircrafts in the sky over the world-famous Dal Lake in Srinagar. The display will include flypast by various aircrafts of Indian Air Force. Sunil Cole, AR News, Srinagar.
World Pharmacist Day is being celebrated today. The day aims to recognize the role of pharmacists in the field of the health sector. International Pharmaceutical Federation first observed the World Pharmacist Day in 1912. The theme of the day for this year is Pharmacy Always Trusted for Your Health. The theme has been chosen to draw special attention to the trust in the health sector and the practice of pharmacy. In IPL cricket, Punjab Kings were 98 for 6 in 17 overs against Sunrisers Hyderabad at Sharjah Cricket Stadium in UAE when reports last came in. Earlier, the Sunrisers won the toss and opted to bowl. In another match earlier today, Delhi Capitals defeated Rajasthan Royals by 33 runs at Abu Dhabi. Put into bat, Delhi scored 154 for 6 in the stipulated 20 overs.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will vary between 25 and 33 degrees Celsius. Mumbai to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Chennai is expected to have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Kolkata will observe a minimum temperature of 27 degrees, maximum of around 32. In Srinagar, temperature will hover between 12 and 29 degrees. In Leh, the minimum and maximum temperature will be between 7 to 22 degrees. Gilgit will have partly cloudy sky. Muzaffarabad will have sunny sky. In most of the northeastern cities, including Guwahati, Imphal, Shillong, Aizawl, Kohima, Gangtok and Itanagar, will have generally cloudy sky with one or two spells of rain or thunder showers. In Agartala, the temperature will hover between 26 and 34 degrees Celsius. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses 76th session of United Nations General Assembly in New York, stresses on the need to ensure that Afghanistan's soil is not used to spread terrorism. Prime Minister expresses concern over danger of regressive thinking and rising extremism in the world. Vaccine manufacturers across the world should make vaccines in India, says Prime Minister. New Delhi slams Islamabad for misusing UN platforms to spread false and malicious propaganda against India. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh calls for proactive synergy among armed forces to safeguard the nation's interests. India's vaccination coverage crosses 85 crore mark. National COVID-19 recovery rate reaches 97.78%. Government reviews preparedness for cyclonic storm developing in Bay of Bengal, likely to cross Andhra Pradesh Odisha coasts by tomorrow evening. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur launches high-power transmitters at world's highest radio station in Kargil. Nation pays homage to Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay on his birth anniversary. In IPL cricket, Delhi Capitals beat Rajasthan Royals by 33 runs at Abu Dhabi. Sunrisers Hyderabad take on Punjab Kings at Sharjah. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.